Hey guys, Mano here. Welcome back to the channel. This is a 2006 Yamaha XG250 Tricker. It is a crossover enduro style motorcycle from Yamaha, blending traits of a light dual purpose motorcycle and street enduro in a trials inspired package. In this video, I will tell you my honest opinion about it as a long-term owner, the things that I like, the things I do not like, and the things we did to keep it running. If you are curious or planning to get one of these, stick around because this might help you. Okay, just to let you know, this is the second time I have featured this bike in the channel. This is a follow-up review to my previous feature because a lot has been going on with this bike since then. Now, if you're not familiar with this bike, well, this is one of the weirder motorcycles from Yamaha, and it has a lot in common with its sibling model, namely the Yamaha XG250. Now, it was introduced back in 2004 as a Japan-only model, but some neighboring countries got this through gray market dealers, like, for example, this one. In 2008, it got updated with fuel injection to meet emission regulations, and production ran all the way until it was discontinued in 2023, sadly. However, there are still brand new units out there, it's just that they're getting harder to find these days. Anyway, what does it offer? It's got a 249cc air-cooled single-cylinder engine that produces 21 horsepower and 21 Nm of torque. It has a 5-speed manual transmission geared for low to mid-range pull. Now, housing the engine is a rigid perimeter-style double cradle steel frame, which is exactly the same as the Yamaha XT250. Now, for suspension, you get a non-adjustable 33mm fork setup at the front and a non-adjustable monoshock at the back, mated to a steel swing arm via a linkage system. Now, wheels are 19 up front and 16 at the back. Fuel capacity is 6 liters. Overall weight is 120 kilograms with fluids, and the seat height is a super low 29 inches. Now, the specs aren't that impressive, but then again, those numbers don't speak for a motorcycle. So here's where I give you my honest opinion about this bike as a long-term owner. So what do I like about this motorcycle? Well, it is light and nimble. Now, because of the relatively low weight and compact frame geometry, the Tricker handles like a mountain bike, which is awesome in the city or in tight turns or slow traffic and badly maintained roads is where this bike shines. And since it also has some ground clearance and a plush suspension setup, light trails and casual adventure riding is also very enjoyable. Now, the super low seat height and lightweight make it accessible even if you are not super tall. With easier ground reach and control, of course, I would say this is a very confidence-inspiring motorcycle, especially if you're a beginner. In my case though, I installed a tall bar and riser combo, which allows me to sit upright and give me better control even when standing up on the pegs. Now, the air-cooled single-cylinder engine is very simple. Power delivery is very predictable with lots of low to mid-range torque, perfect for low-speed maneuvers. Now, in terms of maintenance, all I have to say is it is super simple. Just change the oil every 5,000 kilometers and it's all good. I mean, look at this one. This is a 2006 model, which we bought second-hand back in 2015, and it's still running. It's still working properly, but of course, we did a few things to keep it in tip-top shape, and well, it's not all fun and daisies, you know. There are things that I do not like about this motorcycle, and this is where I will tell you my honest opinion about that as well. Now, the first thing that I do not like, the power is okay, you know, 21 horsepower, 21 Nm of torque. The Tricker isn't a powerhouse, really. On highways or long rides, especially with a passenger or load, it feels overwhelmed compared to larger dual sport or full-size motorcycles. And the 5-speed transmission is pretty lame at speeds above 70 kilometers per hour. Acceleration from that point all the way to 100 kilometers takes a long time. But once you get there, it stays there, and you have to fight your way to keep it there also. Now, the small fuel tank at 6 liters fuel capacity means shorter riding range. So if you're used to bigger touring bikes with large tanks, well, you need to plan more frequent fuel stops, and you have to time it accordingly. Now, as a crossover, it's not a true dirt bike, nor it's a powerful street bike. It's more of a trail crawler than an enduro bike, and the soft suspension is not made for fast-paced tarmac riding either. And the seat itself and slim gas tank doesn't help the rider triangle at all. This is good for short riders only. And for longer trips, this is a pain in the ass, especially for a guy my size. But then again, that is the design of the motorcycle. Now, the maintenance part is probably my biggest concern despite its long production run. I would say this bike requires some creative thinking to keep it running for a long time, especially when it comes to parts. Now, the engine itself is pretty much bulletproof given its configuration, but this one is showing its age already. The timing chain is a bit loose already due to a faulty tensioner. I'm currently waiting for an aftermarket tensioner from a Yamaha XG250. Hopefully that fixes the problem. If not, then a new cam chain and guides are already in my shopping cart. And also an overhauling gasket set. Also, the carb intake manifold is something to look out for. It's probably one of the fastest wearing parts on this bike. In my 10 years of ownership, I have replaced this part twice already. And you can only get it from a Yamaha dealer. And since this is a 2006 carburetor model, delivery time for the manifold was 2 months and the price is way up there. Now, another thing to keep an eye out for is the clutch linings and the springs. This is already on its third set of clutch plates ever since we got it, and we are currently using an aftermarket set for the XT250. Now, the clutch springs are for a Honda XR200 this time, and so far they're holding up. Now, the biggest issue, which we currently fixed also, is the suspension. The stock fork inner tubes were really worn out, and no matter what type of fork seal we use, they always leak because, well, the fork tubes were already pitted. Now, for a more permanent fix, I had to order a pair of Yamaha XG250 forks, and we transferred the inner fork tubes to the stock Tricker fork legs. Now, adding a spacer in the fork damping rod to lower the travel was needed also, just to make it match the stock height of the stock forks of the Tricker. Now, the rear shock was also blown. There was no damping and rebound. Basically, it was just the spring keeping it up, and it didn't really, give you enough traction. It was kind of sketchy. In this case, I had a specialist rebuild it since a replacement unit also was impossible to get where I'm from. Now, another impossible thing to find was a 130/90/16 dual sport rear tire, or a 120/90/16 rear tire, and it's really annoying. At one point, I resorted to using a donut tire from a car just to get it going. Now, to fix this, we did what we do best and replaced the 16-inch rim with a more common 17-inch alloy rim. It's a good thing that this hub uses 36 spokes because rims with 36 spokes are very common. Now, here it is rolling on a brand new 130/80/17 dual sport rear tire. Now, probably the most annoying part that needed to be replaced was the rear sprocket. Now, finding this piece was impossible, especially in the size that I want. So I bought a random sprocket for another bike and hired a machinist to transplant the teeth to the old one, and here it is. So those are the issues that we managed to fix given this bike's limited aftermarket support where we're from. But me and my team are pretty confident this will last a bit more. Now, this is not to turn you off from the Yamaha Tricker. I'm simply sharing the challenges that we faced with this bike and our solutions to dealing with them in hopes of, well, helping you if you have one. Now, in summary, is the Yamaha Tricker worth it? Well, the XG250 Tricker is a utility and fun first sort of motorcycle. It's not about raw speed, big engine power, or heavy luggage touring. It's about lightness, maneuverability, and versatility. If you want something that's easy to ride in mixed conditions, easy to handle, and relatively straightforward to maintain, this is a good option. Now, the Tricker can be a good do-everything option, especially if you don't over-expect. If you mainly want speed or heavy off-roading, then a different bike might suit you better. And if you happen to find one for sale in the wild, well, you decide if it's worth your time and money. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Like and subscribe if you found this helpful. And if you have one just like this, leave your thoughts in the comments below. As always, see you next time. Bye.